Hello and welcome to my studio. In this video I'm going to tell you all about why I changed to a medium format camera system. Now a little time ago I was fortunate enough to be loaned an IXA medium format aerial imaging camera, and having used that for a number of photographic projects I started to see an advantage for me to move to medium format. So I decided to trade in all my full frame equipment and go for a phase 1 system instead. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this is because I was realizing that on my old system I wasn't using the full extent of all the lenses. I was basically just using specific focal lengths and not making very much use out of the zoom functions at all. So I knew that when I moved to a medium format system, I could use specific focal lengths for lenses, which is going to make the transition a lot easier to do. So for instance, at the moment on this camera, I have an 80mm lens. Now on a medium format camera, that gives the same angle of view as a 50mm lens would on a full frame format camera. And the same applies to other lenses as well. This is a 28mm lens for this camera, which gives the same angle of view as a 17mm lens on a full frame format. But the main reason that I went for this type of camera is because it's extremely modular and almost generic. And for showing techniques and so on, that is very, very useful. It's also, in a way, extremely simple. It has a simple menu structure and it's very easy to use. So for modularity, everything on this is changeable. Obviously the lenses, like so, but more importantly also the back itself is detachable. Here we are. So this is the sensor itself, and as you can see it is huge. This is a full 6 by 4.5 centimeter medium format sensor, and the advantage of that is that it will give you an awful lot of dynamic range, more than 15 stops of dynamic range. And also on the camera, which is now just a box, you have the viewfinder. At the moment I have this waist level finder on here, like so, but I can also place a more conventional prism viewfinder on, depending on what I want to do with the camera. The whole thing is extremely modular, so it's easy to change to show different aspects of photography, which is what I'm all about really. Okay, so if I just reassemble this, there we are. And now we can have a quick look at that menu system that I mentioned. And to do that, what I'm going to do is just pop it on this tripod at the front here, just like so. And I'll turn the camera on. There we are. And now I can just show you the menu on the top of the camera here. So these are the main controls of the camera. The first thing that you notice is that there are no fixed dials. Everything is done in software. So for instance, the shutter speed is changed by just moving this control here. The aperture is changed just by moving this control here, and so on. This makes it very simple to use, but there are a few other menus in here too. So I can move through the menu system to the next page. This is HDR, which is basically exposure bracketing. Then I have time-lapse, focus stacking. Now I've used this on a few occasions. Again, very simple to do. And this is the flash sync trigger. Now normally you would have an external flash sync trigger which you would attach to the top of your camera through the hot shoe. and this would then enable you to control the energy in your flashes. So if I just turn this flash on, like so, I can control it from the dial on the back, but I can also control it from the flash sync trigger. So for instance, if I want to reduce the energy in that, I can do that. So I can take it down by parts of a stop or full stops. And I can also activate the modeling light from here. So, like so. But with this system, I can do all that from the camera as well. So once again, I can select the flash and I can turn the energy up by whatever I like, and even parts of a stop too, or I can take it down. And I can also turn on and off the modeling light. Okay, and I also have another screen on the back here. So again, I have all the shutter and aperture controls and so on. And as for shutters, on here there are actually 3 shutters to choose from. The standard focal plane shutter, which you're all used to with mirrored and mirrorless cameras. And also in here I have the option to use the shutter which is built into the lens. So on these particular lenses, not all of them have them, but most of them do, this has a leaf shutter built into the lens as well. That will allow me to synchronize with flash at any speed, up to the maximum on this particular lens, which is 1/1600th of a second. Now that is very handy in an environment such as this, where I have very bright lights. If I want to cut out all of the lighting, I can easily do that just by using the leaf shutter in the lens instead of the focal plane shutter at the back here. Now besides those 2 shutters, it also has an electronic shutter built into the back itself. Now I can use that, for instance, if it's on a large format camera. So this is my large format camera, and I have a range of movements on here, as you would expect on a camera of this type, which is very handy for doing very technical work, or if you want to have an extremely large depth of field at a strange angle. I cover that in some of my previous videos. So on here, on the back, I have a plate, and this plate has pins in it so that it will accept the camera back. So if I just take the back off this camera, like so, and now I can place this part, just the back, on here, like so. And now this gives me a 100 megapixel camera with all the movements of large format. Now at the moment I have a 150mm lens on here, which is roughly the equivalent of something like a 95mm on a full frame format camera. So you can see that the modular aspect of this really starts to come into its own. And I've used that in conjunction with the IXA camera which I borrowed in some previous videos, such as this one that I did on macro flower photography. So it's that modular nature and very nearly generic camera which I find attractive to use for these videos. So by using this, I can quite happily demonstrate all the various different aspects of photography with the one camera system. The other aspect of this camera, of course, is its immense resolution. This back is 100 megapixels. That gives you the opportunity to really zoom in close to the captured image which is very effective for specific editing. And also, of course, you don't have to have a 100 megapixel back. If you want to start off with something which is a little more economic, say, then you can go for one of the older backs, which may well be a CCD sensor instead of a CMOS, such as this one. But you can go for a 50 megapixel back for something like this for not much more than the cost of a normal lens for a full frame format camera. Well, I hope all that has been some use and a bit of an insight into the medium format world. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you like watching things such as this, do click on the other pictures as they appear, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you very much for watching.